Not sure.
Ice
Okay,
I challenging question.
this is in a controlled setting in a lab.
Going.
Okay.
Good evening. I want to call the January 15th, 2026 meeting to order. Okay, we're going to start with roll call. Okay, Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Mullery,
Present.
Commissioner Tran,
Here.
Commissioner Stern,
Here.
Commissioner De La Garza,
Here.
and Commissioner Joshi is absent. Okay, great. Thank you. But we do have quorum. Do we have any agenda changes, additions, and or deletions?
We do not.
Fantastic. Next thing, do we have any public comments?
No.
Okay, well, let's move on to our first item. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December 18, 2025?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
Okay, we'll go again. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Mullery,
Yes.
Commissioner Tran,
Yes.
Commissioner Stern,
Yes.
Commissioner De La Garza.
Yes.
Right. Do we have any city official comments?
We have some really exciting comments for you this evening. So let's see, which one are we starting with? So after such a long pause in having the murals come to fruition, we have one beginning this Monday. Mona Caron is going to begin her mural on the side of Mac's Smoke Shop. And we're really excited about that. It'll take her about a week to complete. We do have all of this information on the website and updated. And then the last week of this month, Nigel Sussman is going to begin his mural on the side of Pacific Art League. And that will take approximately 5 to 6 days. And so we're really excited about those. We still have 2 murals that are outstanding that will be coming up. But we're really excited to finally be able to get these moving. So that's the first item. Welcome, Mayor Vinker.
Thank you, and apologies that I'm late, but we just adjourned our city council meeting, so I will sit quietly over here now.
And the next item is the Art Lift call, which is currently open. It is visible on the website. We encourage you to distribute it to anyone who you think might be interested in applying. Once again, these are 10 $5,000 grants to support activations primarily focused in our commercial corridors and at Cobberly campus. So we're really looking forward to that. And the deadline is February 20th, yes. And that's it for city comments.
Fantastic. Our first action item of the day is election of officers here to exercise our democracy. And Elise, you will tell us how to do it.
Yes, so there should have been in your packet a little guide to how to do the elections. So we start with the chair position. So the outgoing chair explains the general duties and responsibilities of the chair, including the monthly time commitment necessary to facilitate meetings, and also what's involved with the retreat and the work plan is important. And then the chair opens the floor to nominations for the position of chair. Commissioners nominate one commissioner at a time. The person nominated must be present at the meeting. They may enter their own name in nomination. The person offering the nomination can explain why they have nominated the person or why they would be appropriate. The chair asks the nominated person if they are willing to accept the nomination. Commissioners continue to nominate. With each nomination, the chair asks the person nominated if they are willing to accept the nomination. When there are no further nominations from the floor, the chair asks for, or a commissioner offers, a motion to close nominations. You take a vote, you do a second, and then take a vote to close nominations. And then you'll see you have paper ballots. And so then you will vote. Staff will collect those votes and then let you know the results. Then we rinse and repeat for the vice chair. Any questions? Okay.
Well, I'm here to highly recommend the role of chair of the Public Art Commission. I must say, in my professional life, this is one of the sort of greatest privilege, and pleasure, because we help to usher in projects that are beautiful for so many people who live in Palo Alto and come to Palo Alto to enjoy. And I just think it's really a wonderful effort and yields great fruition. So in terms of what the role entails, because this commission we have wonderful staff, highly experienced staff who have a lot of experience in public art, not just at the size of our city, but really sort of the country, So they really lead us to high aspirations as some of the projects we have seen. So I do feel like with the guidance of the staff, the chair and the vice chair is able to perform their role in highly educated manners. So, obviously the commission operates under the code. So there are regulations that endow us with certain authorities and responsibilities. And we often are given clear guidance from staff who, if and when there are questions, would work with the city legal team to kind of give us clear guidance on, the framework under which we will work. In terms of time commitment, on a monthly basis, regularly we have our monthly meeting, usually about 10 days before the meeting. So like our meeting is on Thursday, so the 2 Mondays before, there will generally be an agenda setting meeting. So Elise, chair, vice chair was said, Elise will present the proposals for the agenda and kind of walk us through what it all involves, what are some of the areas that we have to think through, prep work we have to think through. And so it's almost like a rehearsal. So then you come to the meeting and oh, okay, I recognize this topic. And yes, we did talk about this. And so in terms of time commitment, I do feel like it's pretty well managed. So at most, probably once a month, an hour of prep time, and then we come to the meeting and we do that. Now, obviously, additional time will be spent on reading the material that Nadia put together and share with everybody. From time to time, we are, invited to participate in city council events. So oftentimes there are more public events. If we are called to answer, we'll report to the city, there will be additional prep time. And then also there are other community outreach events, ice cream social, which is wonderful, or even when we have public art events, debuts, it's always wonderful to go and see and introduce the artwork to the public. And lastly, I think from time to time we serve on committees for selection, but I think all of us do that anyway. So I don't think that's any additional time. And then lastly, we do have an annual work plan. We do have to plan the retreat and the work plan. But again, we're in very, very experienced hands. And we have a good material to carry forward. So we're not starting from scratch. So a lot of it is, this is what we did last year. What's going on this year? Does it make sense to have some additions, deletions, or, new things to bring to the thought process for strategy? But it's more incremental, I would say, because we have a very well-established program.
The only additional thing I would add is the chair typically does the presentation. So this year it'll be March 9th to council of that work plan, and staff is there with them, but fields questions about the history of these projects and how they came about and whatnot. So that is an important thing, and also speaking at events like Code Art.
Right. So, usually you have your little friendly little typewriter or your phone and you try to write a little script, but nowadays there's so many tools to help us. So I think it's just practicing in front of the mirror a little bit. So I would say that is the responsibility for the chair, highly recommended. And we will open the floor up for nomination if we have anybody to nominate.
I would nominate our current chair, Sonia.
I would
and-
second that. Can I do that?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I would just add, because it's in the process, that from what I've seen in just a couple of meetings, and what you just said, that you really enjoy the role, and that's felt. I feel that you're obviously comfortable with the process and are very efficient in running these meetings.
And it is my thrill to accept this nomination. Thank you so much. So yes, I am thrilled to accept this nomination. And this is very much in the spirit of my term is coming to the end. In 2027, we have wonderful new talents. So many of you, way more talented than I am. And I really look at this as President Biden once say, a transitional role. So I hope to really just bring people on, and I hope that we could get like subcommittees and other ways to bring people to participate. I think the public commission, like any commission, we right, like we sit at the tip of one tiny little hill. But there's so much underneath it, and it's working with the city council to really understand and have an opportunity to appreciate the governance of this large organization. So it's a lot of learning, and it takes a little bit of time. So I think all of us, hopefully, we will all come along, right? I see a lot of future chairs here. So. All right. So on that, I guess we close the nomination, huh? Okay.
Call for a vote to close the
Okay.
nomination.
We call for a vote to close the nomination. See, we're still learning. Is there a motion to close the nomination?
I motion to close the nomination.
Do we have a second? And do we have the roll call this? Oh,
Second.
all right, we roll call this as well. We've got to make sure no one is running away with the title. Okay, Commissioner Smith
Yes, I confirm.
and Commissioner Mullery,
Yes.
Commissioner Tran,
Yes.
Commissioner Stern,
Yes.
Commissioner De La Gaza.
Yes.
And yes, for me as well. Hello, hello. I guess we closed the nomination and we are all given a ballot. So I guess we can all write names and,
Or since there's only one, you could say yay or nay.
oh, okay, yes or no, okay. I'm gonna write my secret ballot. And then I'm gonna give it to the person. Oh.
Is that okay? Yes, of course it is. That's no meeting. Okay.
We're glad you're here.
Fantastic.
Or did you guys pass them down?
Oh, we actually just have to write, I thought we.
What was that?
You could do yay or nay.
Oh, great.
What do you mean, just on the ballot?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that you didn't share with me.
You all have.
May I have it? Yes. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Congratulations, Tricia.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with everyone for this new term. Thank you so much. And since we don't have a vice chair, maybe I'll give a short explanation of the general duties of the vice chair. It's the same. The only difference The only difference is, I guess maybe just the speaking role. But to be honest, like, when people get sick, you just step in for one another. So I remember, I think for a while I was vice chair. And I remember there were a couple of meetings when the chair could not attend. I just stepped in. And so it's pretty, I would say it's interchangeable. You just have two words to your title. Yeah.
I think probably the most intimidating moment for a new vice chair is the first time they have to run a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. And but it's pretty much in terms of time spent. And I also, just speaking for myself as chair, it's a very collaborative effort. I will make sure you do your 50%. All jokes aside, it's very, very collaborative. And the one more thing, I think because we do have a mix of what would you call it? Commissioners are newer and fresher. Like, everyone has different tenures on this commission, and I think all of you are new to the election process. Um, m- Feel free to nominate yourself if this is, or like if no one is nominating anybody, don't feel offended. But I think, throw your name in, okay? Or throw other people's name in. But I'm taken, so. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor to nomination for the position of vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Harriet Stern.
I'll second that nomination.
I'll second that nomination.
Anyone want to give reason first?
Harriet has been very engaged and vocal in the meetings, and I really like that she really steps up and gives us her opinion, and I think that that's really important. And yeah, and she's a huge advocate for the arts and has worked as an arts administrator for many years, and is a great member of the community.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was doing a little verbal math. Okay. Question for Hillary. A question for Harriet. Do you accept the nomination?
I do. I'd be honored. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Do we have any further nominations from the floor? Okay, we're counting very quickly. All right. So since there are no further nominations from the floor, I ask for a motion to close the nomination. Do I have a motion?
I motion to close.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, and that's properly closed this nomination. Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Mullery,
Yes.
Commissioner Tran,
Yes.
Commissioner Stern,
Yes.
and Commissioner Del Garza.
Yes.
All right, so we got yes for everybody, and I think we move to write this in.
Congratulations, Vice Chair Stern.
Yay. Fantastic. All right. So we're done with action item number 1. Let's move to action number 2. Action item number 2, de-accession of artwork.
Yes, and we have a presentation on this one. Some of you had not yet joined us when we began the deaccession process. And so this evening, we're here to talk about the deaccession, take a final motion on deaccessioning Susan Narduli's conversation, which until several months ago was visible here in the lobby on that bank of monitors. So here is a little walk down memory lane of the project. When the City Hall was renovated, there was a plan for a new media wall, and it seemed like a great opportunity to incorporate a new media artist's work. So we had an open call. We had 107 applicants. We had Narduli won that contract with her conceptual proposal. Council approved that contract. 2015, she began her community engagement process, came up with the final, more detailed design. And then in 2016, it was installed and unveiled. Conversation was recognized as one of the best public artworks of the previous year by Americans for the Arts when it was first commissioned. We've had some challenges with ongoing maintenance upgrades and needs. As various platforms would no longer support it, we would have to have a programmer come in and work on it. I will say that Narduli's team has been very cooperative and collaborative throughout this. We've been partners in it. And I think, can we play the video? It gives you a sense of the motion and the original intent of the piece, but all of the backgrounds were images of Palo Alto, and there were 3 different feeds of bubbles that would move through the artwork. So purple was global, it pulled from the BBC. Blue was from the New York Times, and green was from Palo Alto Weekly. Originally, it pulled from Twitter feeds. So we've had to change the source of those feeds a few times. The behaviors of the bubbles differ in each of the scenes. And so people could also join the conversation from the kiosk at the far side of the lobby. They could type in, what's happening that day or respond to one of the news prompts that's up there. You could also join remotely and add comments from your phone or your laptop computer. So here you can see the green bubbles with the little point to the bottom. Those are comments that are entered, as opposed to the ones that are completely round are the ones that are pulling from, at the time, Twitter feeds. People could also add their images. So it was an ever rotating piece. So the intent was that it was never stagnant, that it was forever changing. Increasingly, we found that there was some challenges with the way the computer connected actually to the monitors, and we frequently had trouble with scaling on one or more monitors or the monitors not turning on. So every morning it was, sometimes IT and public art in here trying to get it working. And it would be on city content mode 2 days a week, and it was on art mode the other days. There are 2 different computers back there. And so it was just, okay, today's city announcements, much like what you see today. And then other days it would be the artwork. But as time has gone on, the artwork has become increasingly unstable. And we've just agreed with the artist that it's time to let this one go, which is always sad, but it's not unheard of, especially with the new media artwork and the challenges we're having. So here are the costs that were involved. The original commission was a little over $174,000. You can see there was some maintenance, hardware replacement, kiosk redesign, website domain and cloud support, because we had to maintain all these various things that ran in the background so that we could key in remotely or have the programmer key in remotely to make fixes. This does not include any staff time. And after a certain point, it was taking a really sizable amount of both IT and public art staff time. So in September, the commission approved the initiation of the deaccession evaluation process. And what that means basically is there were a couple of press articles about it, but that the public now knows in a public forum that the commission is considering doing it. We did not receive any letters from the public on it. We officially notified the artist. The artist knows and is fine. And so here we are returning to the commission with the formal recommendation to approve the deaccession of Narduli's artwork. What that means is a disconnection of the Narduli computers, and then we will work with the artist to see if she wants any of the memory or duplicate or anything back, and we figure out what to actually do with it. The monitors do remain in place. When this first came up, there was a misperception that we were going to pull out all the monitors out of the lobby. That is not the case. The monitors were there before the artwork was there. So staff is here to recommend that the commission approve the deaccession of Conversation by Susan Narduli in City Hall.
I have a question. I know previously when we deaccessioned some other pieces, or when we were in the process of deaccessioning some other pieces, we talked about sort of the records that are preserved of that piece and, you know, where it would sit in the public art library. And I was wondering, you know, if you can share a little bit of information about that in case in the future people are interested in finding out, you
What
know,
it was.
the footprint of this this artwork.
Absolutely. So the video, we couldn't hear the sound that was played earlier. It's a wonderful overview of the artwork itself. And we do have a clone of it that was made the last time we changed out the computer. So we do have a version of it that was working at the time. Yeah, and it's on the collection website as well.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
I have just a general question about new media art.
Yeah.
So typically, is it sort of like a car, you drive it off the lot and then it starts to devalue? Is that, and what's the typical lifespan of something like that?
That is a great question. And when we were drawing up the contract with Susan Narduli, we had this conversation in the beginning. You know, the city is not going to be able to maintain this in perpetuity. We're not a museum. We don't have full-time staff who can do that. And that's what a lot of museums have. And so we decided it was 10 years, and that was written into the contract, and it's been up 10 years. But yes, new media artwork is a challenge, especially if you're pulling from various feeds and platforms and it changes and Windows updates and all of a sudden you've got blue screens again. So it's difficult. And then these monitors are also having some challenges. And so I know the last time they had to replace one, I think they found one on eBay. That's going to fit there. So I'm unclear what the plan is for that video wall. I'm sure they're going to find a better option, but yeah, it's always a challenge.
I just had a comment, which is, though it's sad to see artwork go, I think it's important that we all remember and feel what a success this was. It was up for 10 years,
Yeah.
right? And I think also with new media art and that it was drawing from Twitter, you guys shifted to, you know, drawing from other sources, that means it's topical and current. And if it's outgrown that lifespan, you know, that's what it was meant to do. So I just, I appreciate that it does come to an end. And sometimes that's a good thing.
Was there an anticipation of this maintenance and repair budget, or was there a budget set aside, or was this just kind of like, oh, now we have to pay for this right now kind of thing?
Anytime we commission an artwork, that is part of the discussion. What is the maintenance? We are unique in that City Council approves a dedicated maintenance budget for a collection, which you can imagine we spend down to the nickel every year. And it does increase by a small percentage each year to accommodate for new projects coming into the collection. But it's always a stretch. But we're fortunate. A lot of cities don't get that.
I just had one more sort of more
maybe question or comment. So, the contract was good for 10 years. We're deaccessioning it 10 years later. I know that this particular piece, we're experiencing problems all along the way. Can you share maybe at what point the warranty started running off and then, we were starting to experience more maintenance costs? That's number one. Number two, I know we recently had another project that came, also multimedia, also pulling feed. And I'm wondering if we can share the learnings from the timeline of this project with this new future project.
Sure. I think Stanford has more resources than we do to continue to refresh those materials. It got increasingly problematic over time. I think as Susan Narduli said at one point, it's become increasingly unstable. So what was, a programmer can, come in through TeamViewer and work for 2 hours and fix it, and it would be good for another 6 months, became like almost every week there was something new. So it just became untenable. It just increased over time after a couple years.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions?
Chair, I know it's not I'm not a commissioner, but if it's okay through you to ask a question, I'm just so fascinated by your question about the digital art, time and the sort of diminishing value. But in this instance, does the archive or whatever's left on whatever computer memory, does it have all those comments, I think you said? So I guess my question is, it sort of diminishes, but it also increased over time to the extent it captured Palo Alton's comments. And I'm sort of fascinated by that. So is that accurate? Will those be part of the archival copy?
I think there were a couple points we archived it. Increasingly, as it was offline more, there was less interaction with it, and it became more difficult for it to take in new comments. So the last few years, there's not all that much there, but we do have that back end to look at what people were saying.
I see.
Mhm.
I think that could be very fascinating in sort of like a time capsule type form, 50 years from now or something to look back. And were the news headlines captured? Like I know we had all the bubbles going across with the different colors correlating to the source, but how would, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the answer to this, how would a viewer see the actual content of those bubbles? Or could they?
You mean in real time here in the lobby?
Yeah, in real time.
Yeah, so they were floating around.
Mhm.
And so they would change initially when it was on Twitter, they would change really quickly as stories were coming in and being boosted out on Twitter.
I see. So it's like headlines?
Yeah, well, yeah, headline stories, lead stories, things like that. So so then you would see 4 or 5 stories floating around, and then you would see some comments and putting them together like, oh, that comment's about this story and whatnot. So
That's wonderful. And yeah, no, I'm pleased about the maintenance budget as well that comes to council. It's going to be a tough budget year this year. Just by the way, that in my role as liaison, I need to tell everybody, but it's an important thing. So anyway, thanks for letting me interject.
That's a really interesting perspective. Definitely, because these interactive artwork, particularly when they're pulling the feed, it's that moment in time. And like you said, in the future, once it's archived, when they look back, it's a historical record. So it's really fascinating. Thank you for your comment. Okay, do we?
Palo Alto Museum, I'm so sorry. And now that they're up and running, might be a place that might be somewhat interested in that.
Yet another place to house it. Okay, so do we have a motion to deaccession the conversation?
I move to deaccession the conversation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Okay, I'm going to roll call. All right, Commissioner Smith,
yes.
Commissioner Mollery,
Yes.
Commissioner Tran,
Yes.
Commissioner Stern,
Yep.
Vice Chair Stern, and Commissioner Del Gaza.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I think motion passes. And then next we have a non-action item for the annual retreat and work plan discussion.
And this year it is going to be a quick turnaround and staff is going to need the chair and vice chair to work closely and quickly. So I hope you've had a chance to reacquaint yourself with the previous work plan. Obviously, there are some things that would be easily updated. So the names of the commissioners. One thing that we will discuss at the retreat, which would be great for you all to think about in advance, is the adopted priorities, which those priorities have more or less remained constant for quite a few years, but sometimes there is some wordsmithing of what those things mean. And it is an opportunity if there's something missing there at the retreat to bring that to the discussion and say like, hey, you know, I think this is not quite reflected enough or that isn't and should be woven in. The other thing that will happen between now and our February 10th retreat is that council will set their priorities for the year. So that's always something to be mindful of how are we also supporting and leaning into those. So prior year accomplishments, you can see the ones from the previous year. I've already started to take notes on ones that would go in here already, that they were part of the work plan last year. So things like code art, the completed Aleo Landetta residency and beginning Kiana's residency, the utility box art lift grants, public safety building art was all installed, Bulwer Park installed, the amazing mosaics at 3200 Park Boulevard, which is the former Fry's site, big maintenance projects on Greg Brown's and Albuquerque with those maintenance funds. And then as we look through the project goals, some of these will roll over because the nature of some of these projects is year over year. So for instance, we have, we have a King Artist residency taking place now, and there will be a discussion with the commission shortly thereafter. Do we want to continue it in the same way? Do we, do we want to change that at all? What might we want to change? So those are things we would be evaluating in the next year. Some of the murals, while it's great, we will have 2 of them completed by the time we approve the work plan. We still have some other ones that will be going in. So some of those are going to roll over. Let's see. We also have integrating public art into capital improvement projects. We'll talk about this more at the retreat, what all is in process and what is on the horizon. Public art and private development, I mentioned one that was installed. We have a couple of other here that are still on the horizon, and there are quite a few private development projects. So a lot of it is a refresh of the kinds of examples that will go in. And so we will work closely with the chair and the vice chair to have a draft of this ready for the retreat so that hopefully it's not a ton of work to do the 48-hour turnaround, because that's going to be really tough when we have a special meeting 2 days later to get this improved in time to get into the packet to council. Code Art 2025, of course, we completed that and we're already starting planning for 2027, maintenance and care of the collection. And then also thinking through what kind of visuals do we want to have, because most of the work plans don't have visuals, but y'all are the Public Art Commission, so we need some eye candy. So it would be really helpful, the chair and the vice chair and staff will work on getting a working draft for the retreat, but revisit it and come with your thoughts, ideas, things like, does this fit in here? Does it not? Where does, this other project work in? We had spoken about revisiting our master plan sometime toward the end of this year. Where would that fit in? So, yeah, so lots more to come.
Great. I know previously, I think one of the topics we spend a lot of time on is the priorities. So I imagine we would have, Harriet and I would have a proposal for discussion at the retreat.
May I just give you an update from council that you may want to discuss at the retreat? As it relates to work plans and what goes to council and whatnot. So last night at the Policy and Services Committee meeting, which was right in this room, one of our topics was the relationship between boards and commissions and council in terms of reporting back and forth. And the recommendation at the end of the night from the Policy and Services Committee, which still has to go through council, was that we would offer each commission one opportunity per year to come to either the Policy and Services Committee or the council, as depending on dockets and fit and all of that good stuff, either to present and talk about a work plan, or if there was some other issue that the chair and vice chair of the commission wanted to bring forward to council. So you don't have to decide it well in advance, and we haven't approved it yet from council, but I wanted to give you the heads up because it's a little different than has been happening in the past. And I hope a big success that sort of lets you figure out when you need us, when you want to talk to us, and when you don't. So that's the current recommendation that'll be going to council.
May I ask a clarifying question? Because currently, right, the work plan goes forward, and at least last year, the chair and staff presented it to council and then fielded questions. So this would be just a separate sort of touching base on where we are, and the work plan would go on consent?
That what we're trying to do is give more choice around that. So the work plan could go on consent if you prefer to talk to us about something else. That doesn't mean a council member couldn't pull it and say, "What in the heck are you doing? I want to talk about code art or whatever it is." But I think the idea is that you could come present your work plan if you would like, or it could go on consent and perhaps there's something else you want to. I think we're trying to be more flexible, and that may not be as directly relevant to this commission as some others that have, some big issue they really want to dialogue directly with council on. I just more wanted to let you know that we're looking at that process and trying to figure out what fits best. And because the boards and commissions differ one to the other, we want to hear from the chair and vice chairs of the commissions as to which is the better fit. So, but it's also TBD when it goes to council. Yes.
Yeah, that's a really great point because every commission's authorities and responsibilities are slightly different. I know some commissions have more advisory roles, and public art, sort of the subject matters are a little bit different. So the forum and the requirements may be a little bit different. So we'll caucus also doing our retreat to make sure we present and utilize the opportunity, the best way possible to surface the issues that we see that are important for the commission. Thank you.
I just have a question about the capital improvement projects for next year. Do we already know what those are, and we're going to talk about that at the retreat?
Yes. Because they're multiple year in nature, there's a lot of layering, and some of the timelines move. So Mayor Vinker mentioned it's a tough budget cycle. Sometimes they will push some CIP projects back a given year. So, some projects we'll even go through an artist selection, be it 30% design, and then the project gets put on hold. So, so it's a lot of moving parts every year.
Do we have any more additional questions on this non-action item for the annual retreat annual work plan discussion? If not, do we have any public letters?
There were none.
Hey, do we have any commissioner questions, comments, and or announcements?
Again, I'm not a commissioner, but this will be my last meeting as your liaison, and I have just enjoyed it very, very much. I just love the work you do. I love hearing you think and talk about it, and the beauty that it brings to our city, but also all the impacts beyond that you think about in terms of building community, economic development with code art, all of that. I have learned a lot by sitting here. I have enjoyed it thoroughly, and I know you're going to go on to do great things, but I just wanted to let you know that I appreciated it. And I don't know yet who is going to be sitting in this chair next time, but I've enjoyed my time. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We really, really appreciated having you. Speaking personally, we really feel like that, we benefited from the on-point additional supplemental information guidance, as well as directionally, you help us stay current with the direction of the council. So thank you very much. We will miss you.
And congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you so much.
I do have a question, and
Yes.
having not been through this process before, I'm curious, and I understand the squish timeline that we've got. How do you think that will impact what we produce? Are we talking, we would expect, I don't even know how to phrase what I'm asking exactly, but I understand that we're going to, because of when we're meeting, there will be a really quick turnaround time needed. And I'm curious how you think that will influence the process of what we ultimately come up with.
Well, as I mentioned previously, I think by the time we get to the retreat, there will be a pretty solid draft. And as we go through the retreat and we talk through all the CIPs and we talk through all the things on the horizon and see where things might also fill in and where things might need to bump back because there's too many things at one point. So I think at that point, it becomes more of a fine tuning and adding in examples. The work plan, the way this is structured, for instance, the three projects that are cited as examples in private development, we have probably 40 projects in process. So they're only examples. So it's intended that it gives enough direction on these are the kinds of buckets of projects we're working on, but it's not supposed to be so restrictive that another project comes up in private development that's a really interesting opportunity and they want to commission art and we have to go back to council to get that approved. So, right, it's kind of a trick with like making sure council is aware of everything we're doing, but not having it be so restrictive that our hands are tied.
So one of the things that you brought up and that I had thought about as well is the revisiting the master plan and kind of when do we do that and how do we do that? Do you feel like you guys have time? I mean, will you have time and the ability to kind of think about that and discuss that in a way that's going to be meaningful?
At the retreat, I think it becomes sort of a placeholder. We had spoken about initiating that toward the end of this year. Right now, there are a lot of various folks working with the city on plans at Cubberley and lots of different things. So we're aware that the public may have plan fatigue. So as we track these and track which of these processes may be wrapping up, then we'll make a recommendation for where that might fit in the schedule. We have an idea for what kind of budget amount it is, and it is a lot of work from staff to facilitate all the meetings with all the right stakeholders. So those are all things that we take into consideration. Yeah.
And in case it's helpful, Elise and I had actually started talking about this and the timeline. And this is probably the fourth or the fifth time we've done this. And so it looks like a complicated document, but a lot of it is kind of pulling from the back of the document. I don't mean to say this out loud. But, so for instance, this was our work plan for fiscal year 2025. So in the beginning of the section is prior year accomplishments. So we take what we said we were going to do and we highlight it. So a lot of this, and then we bring new information into the process for priorities for the next year. So you know, I think this is a good foundation, and it's essentially a document we are evergreen updating it on an annual basis.
I don't know. I just want to suggest if Commissioner Mullery, sorry, Mullery, apologies. You know, put some things down and, you know, we can talk about it.
Sure, you could have a subcommittee work on the draft plan, but you know, Vice Chair Stern is right. As we map out that timeline and whatnot, that's where it makes sense to say like, hey, if you thought about pivoting it this way or engaging that community, or, you know, the retreat's the time where we can float all those types of things. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions, comments, and/or announcements?
For any of you who are interested, Fog Fair opens a week from Friday,
Oh, thank you.
Fort Mason.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, on that note, meeting adjourned.